Good morning, everyone. I am Carla Scipio from The Woman in My Garden, and I'm really excited because I got one of my BFFs, okay, one of my extensions of myself, like-minded fighter, lover, creator, with a heart of gold, Miss Yamine Trotman from Gain Foundation. And I'm not gonna do the honor of an introduction. Yamin is gonna speak about who she is and what she does in the community, and is why it's so important for girlfriends to sit and not just talk, but also plan and come together and do things to change the world. All right, come on, Yamin. Good morning.
Good morning, Carla. Good morning to all of those of you who are joining us today. I'm so proud and so honored to be one of the girls in your garden. My name is Yamine Trotman, as you stated, and who I am have changed over the course of the years. And I am an entrepreneur, first of all. Also, I am passionate about healing. So that is what make me have gain foundation, gain foundation, and heal me, healing you. I am also passionate about social work, and I am a woman that is the wife of one man, two, a mother of two, and still in the journey of healing.
Amen. Amen. I think healing is a process. Tell us a little bit about heal me, heal you. Because I know when I met you, that is your thing. Heal me, heal you. Let's talk about heal me, heal you.
Well, heal me, healing you. My why is that when I growing up, I went through a few of stages, and where I blame my parents, and obviously my feelings were valid. They really didn't. They were not very good parents. They were good parents to the greatest of their ability. I like to see that because they did
Yeah.
their best with what they had, and but the grade was not best for me. And I grew up having some wrong beliefs, and I went through the stage of making a lot of mistakes, and then after making some wrong decisions that made me be not such a productive adult. And not being such a productive adult made me realize that this society does not really cater to help women like me,
Hmm.
women who have prostituted themselves, who have made a lot of bad decisions at the moment, and then didn't go to school, keep blaming the parents. So the society don't really cater to help them to become pieces of functioning persons in the society. So
Right,
Heal
right.
Me Healing You is that like that. It's an entity that will help women who made mistakes and get back into society and know that they could go to school, that they could have a good husband, that they could be good parents.
Amen. Amen. Thank you for sharing about heal me, healing you. I think back, and I know in our past conversations we talked about you being born in Venezuela and to Trinidad. Your parents are Trinidad heritage. Tell me, how did that? I guess how did that play? Did that play any role in what you encountered as a child? And then let's talk about how you got to Trinidad, and let's talk about how you functioned when you first came, and what made you decide to change your life.
Okay. The My both parents were very Trinidadians. Even though we grew up with an entire society that was totally different to what their culture were, they were I am a mixture of both. So,
Mm.
but what influenced the parent, how they were parent to me was basically based on what their parents told them. So my mother come from a very dysfunctional home where my mother was didn't have a mom because her mom had a lot of traumas, and she had my mother in the yard as another chicken when his father rescued her and then put in a home where the person who was in charge of her didn't really have a healthy relationship with women, and actually hated my mom, and put my mother through different stuff that made her the mother that she was to me. And my father, my I will be completely transparent because I think people need to hear those things. My father came from a home where he was sexually abused, and he almost killed his wife, his first wife, and then they shipped him to Venezuela, and he met my mother. So I was raised by two broken people,
Wow.
and then being the product of those broken people, obviously the children become their environment, and that is something that parents don't understand very much today. But I guess this will, and we will explain it later down the conversation. And then growing up with all those deficits, then I realized, after knowing my mother's story, I realized that I repeat some of the stories. And because I'm a Christian, I will talk about generational curses that continue from my mother, from her mother, from my mother, and down to me. So I realized that I didn't go to school. I quit school because I had to help my mom pay the bills. Then I got pregnant because I was not taught to choose. So I only saw, so I was looking for love, and I continuously look for love in different men because I was looking for that love that I could only find inside of me that I know
Mm-hmm.
today. I didn't know that then.
Mm-hmm.
And then when I was so broken, I made a child for somebody who I had no right to be making a child for. And then after, I end up realizing I am one more of my street because I grew up in a slum, and it was very common for you to just go and shack up with the man next door and make 10 children. So I realized, and I was almost giving in to the pattern when my godmother, who was somebody with money, tell me, hey, one child, hello, you could still go to school, you could still. So the importance of having somebody positive talking to you. And then is when I pray. I
Mm.
pray. And God answer my prayer, and that is how I reached to Trinidad. And how it ended up being in Trinidad, it was a culture shock. I came into a country where they were very much Christians. There were much slavery mentality. There were different factors that made me come from a country where they have liberal thinking and so on. I was very promiscuous. I didn't have any communication skills because I was not taught. And you can imagine this broken soul after being through all those things and never getting therapy. I
Mm-hmm.
came into more brokenness.
Mm.
And how I realized I needed help, it was pretty much not long ago. I am 44 years old. And I think it was maybe about 10 years ago when I hit bottom rock that I realized my husband had left me. My children was calling me that lady. And on my job, I was being called into the office and saying, listen, everybody have a problem with you. And realizing that I was the problem. I was
Right.
very angry. I was very tired. I wanted to commit suicide. I had suicidal ideation. I was actually Googling how to do it. I
Mm-hmm.
was thinking a lot. I could not sleep. I used to cry myself to sleep. I was numbing myself with alcohol and marijuana. And
Mm-hmm.
I realized, you know what? I start to Google what is wrong with me. It cannot be that everybody seems to be so happy and why I am not.
Right.
And that is how I realized I needed help.
So
I hope
what were
I
your
questions.
what were your first steps? Because we're trying to tell when we speak, we talk about intergenerational conversations. We talk about intergenerational. And for me, intergenerational conversations and relationships is so important because I believe that the elders bring some level of wisdom. They should. And they can pour that into the young people. But the young people also bring their strength, they bring their insight, and they bring what's current. So now we're speaking. I want you to share what steps did you take and how did you climb out of that space, that pit that you were in, to get to this point now where you can say, I can do this to help because I understand what that young lady is going through because I've been there. So how did you dig yourself out of that hole?
I wish there was a formula. I telling you I will be sharing it for free. But what
Mm,
I could tell you is that I had this space, and I want you to I want you to get this. Like, I had this space where I used to put myself in my mind to run away from my present. And the first step that I took was realizing that I was never present. If you ask me anything about those times, about details, I will tell you I can't remember because I was not there. I was in the past. So
mm,
I used to put myself inside my mind in a place. I had like a fictitious world inside my mind where I used to go, and where there was peace, and where I had a clean house and with everything in it, and that I had control of everything what was going on.
mm,
And then realizing that I could really create that world for me was the hardest thing. Knowing that I could find peace in the world. And when I say in the world, I mean because we are in the world. Even the Bible told, when Jesus told the disciples, "You are in the world, and you will find peace."
right.
And I didn't think that was possible, because to me, I've been in this world, but realizing that I had tried everything. I
Mm,
realized that I had tried everything that far. I had done everything, because I am not ashamed to say today that I have done it all. And I was looking for peace and happiness. And even tried going inside myself and trying to stay there. And and that was the first step, recognizing that that world was not real, and that I had control also of
right.
my real world. And then controlling my thoughts. So I remember, actually, I, yeah, started to meditate, and it was really heavy. And people look at meditation and be like, "No, that is for certain people." And when you have been subjected to so much trauma in your life, the first thing that you need to do is control what your mind is telling you.
Mm,
Because the first time I heard that I could control my thoughts, I was like, what? What's that? And I start to really pay attention. So I took a notebook and I started to write everything that crossed my mind during the day. And it was horrible. I used
mm.
to tell myself so much things, that I was not capable, that I was too black, that I was too thin, that I was too, that I never went to school. Who will listen to you? Shut up, you're stupid. And I used to call myself so many things,
All
that
negative.
all negatives. And that was my narrative. And I imagine having a program running for over 30 years. And dismantling that program took a whole, it was so much that when I stopped, i felt I felt like when you work in a job that is very demanding, and then you don't have it no more.
Mm,
I felt
mm-hmm,
bored. I felt bored. I used to be bored out of my mind. Like, I had so much time in my hand that I was like, something is wrong. Why I'm bored? And then I start to pray about it. And then it's when God tell me that is peace. And you
mm,
know what it is. So you see it as I am bored. I am bored out of my mind. I need something to do. And I realize is that peace. I didn't know what it was and how it was, how it felt.
Right. Right. So you didn't even recognize peace because you've never encountered it before. It was always some strife. It was always something negative, and it was always a struggle. So
Yes.
you found peace. What did you do after that? What did you? What was your next?
Well, forgiveness.
Mhm.
After you have beat up yourself so bad, you will fall into the trap of saying, watch how much time I waste.
Mm,
Watch what I have done. I have never went to school. I treat my children. Even if I put myself in my father's shoes, I will be even I rape my girls.
mm,
And having to live knowing that you did that and
mm-hmm,
seeing the product of your
mm,
choices and seeing your children being the byproduct of your traumas is the greatest thing that you will have to forgive,
mm.
because watching them every day struggle and making the decisions that they are making because of you is the biggest forgiveness, and it's a continuous process. The first time I sat down and I looked at myself and I realized it was like a veil fall off my eyes. I had joined this program because I am passionate about helping people, and it's God.
Mhm,
I joined thinking I was going to learn how to teach others, and when they talk about all the things, when I take that computer down, I cry, Carla,
mm.
for a week. It was so
Right.
hard to get out of bed, knowing that all those things that they said, I did to my children. I use them as messengers. I use them, I call them names. I compare them. I tell them, why you are not more like this person? And
Right.
knowing that I even hand them the drink. I even show them how to cope. I show them all these sexual behaviors. I show them all those things. I show them, and knowing that yes, I did it, and but coming to a place to know that I didn't know what I was doing. So I need forgiving.
So
I
you had
need
to forgive yourself.
I had to forgive myself, and knowing I wish I knew better, but I did not. Because
Right.
I will never. That is why I tell people your parents are not hurting you for spite. Not even a psychopath is killing for spite. They are thinking that they are doing a greater good. And even if there is a theory that explains that they think that they are doing a good thing. They when a parent lash out at a child and tell them, watch how you, and embarrass them, they actually are trying to shock them into waking, make them to wake up and do what they're supposed to do. So
Mm-hmm.
I had to forgive myself, and knowing that I thought I was loving them.
Mm.
Uh,
Interesting. That was really good. So when did you start forgiving others? Or did you have all of that insight at one time that you know what? My daddy did what he did to us because of what happened to him. Or my mother treated us like that because of what she went through and how her parents treated her. When did you start realizing that, hey, I had to forgive them too in order for me to continue my healing process?
when I realized how connected it was, because all of us grow up saying, I don't want to be like my mother,
Mm,
or I don't want to be like my father. And we end up being it. And understanding that I cannot forgive myself without forgiving them, because it's the same just how they taught me they were taught, and they just how they thought they were loving me. I thought I was loving my kids,
right.
and I had to, and not only that, the more I understand what happened to me, I understand what happened to my parents. And I always say, if my father was alive today, I would have hugged him. He needed a hug. He
So
needed a
grace and mercy that was extended to you, you also extend that to your mother and your father, even though he's gone on to the
yes,
other side. And I know that all of that has a role to play in the work that you're doing today. Let's talk about some of the things that you're doing in the community. We know we understand your why, because of the generational curses. Let's talk about how now that champions what you're doing to other women to help them live, and not just live but to thrive. And I know healing is very important. Is at the core. Is one of the core pieces to the puzzle. Let's
yes.
talk. What are you doing now with the young women, with your social ministry, with your nonprofit? Being an entrepreneur, even with the business that you have, and let's talk a little bit about that.
Yeah, well, with most of it is explaining because I was sitting down with a group of young ladies last week, and I heard them. I was listening. Most of all, women like that don't get listened to because I was trying to connect a young lady with another young lady, and she was like, "But she chose, and she did, and she did," and I was like, "I know. Can you just be there? Can you just be her friend? Don't judge her because you made mistakes, but you know why I'm connecting you with her? It's because the same mistake that she made, you did it, but you made different choices. So I want you to go and tell her what you did when you were there. That was different than what she's choosing to do.
Mm,
And that is what society is not doing. They look at a young lady and they judge her for her choices and her mistakes when they don't know why she got there. So explaining to others what it is to be a woman that is promiscuous and what is she looking for. It's not that she addicted to sex. It's not that she addicted to different men. It's something she's looking for. And she does not know that what she's looking for is inside of her because nobody taught her.
right.
So teaching them that love that you're looking for, because one of the lady was explaining how why she was good in bed,
Mm,
and she was telling me that when she see a man, she want to love him and teach him to be loved so much so he will keep her.
mm. So value. So we're dealing with value, self worth, all of that stuff is damaged by the things that we go through. So it influences the choices that we make.
Yes,
Yeah.
yeah, it does. And the thing about it is that and I understand the world don't have time,
To
and
sit down and listen. To
yeah,
really listen, like you said, in a safe, in a
yeah,
confidential place with no judgment.
and then and then show that you are vulnerable too. Because the
Yes.
first thing that I used to think is that nobody has it like me. Because you will see people who are entrepreneurs, they drive in the car, they don't really sit down and say, "Hey, I was broken too. I was
Yeah.
hurting too. I made bad choice about this, what I did after that have me where I am today."
Yes.
And that is the important part because people look at me and they're thinking, "Oh, you have it all together, you don't know what it is." And then when I hear the story, I said, "That happened to me too." And it's what you do after is really important because your feelings and your emotions are valid. You are right to be spinning out of control. You are right to be angry. You are right to be sick in love. You are right. And to feel betrayed by men and to feel used by men. That is true. But what you have to know is that you also choosing it,
Right.
that you have a say, that you could say, listen, I am going to change my focus. And I think that is one of the greatest challenges that I have, teaching young ladies that you could choose better, choose for you. Like, I am not asking you to be selfish, but I am asking you to put yourself in the equation and to stop ignoring the red flags, thinking that you could fix other people just because that part of you is broken.
And you know what? I'm gonna say this. I feel like self care is selfish. Sometimes you have to be selfish and look inward, because before you could even fix any man or anyone, you gotta make sure and understand and realize. Because oftentimes we don't see, we don't understand that we're broken
You
because
are
we
longing. You
because
are
we're
you
so
are
wrong.
longing. You
Right.
listen. You are so broken inside that you are trying to fix other people in order to fix you,
Yeah.
because you want the satisfaction. That satisfaction that you feel when somebody is healed, you think is healing you, and it is. But if you don't understand what you are doing, then it's not, because you will feel used, and it's another scar that you have to heal. So, and it's not the same for everybody, because we have different personalities. We have people who are introverts who will not go out and try to save people, but they will do it in another way. Maybe buying things for your friend, trying to buy friends, or trying to keep friends. It looks different for everybody. I just want to insert this because plenty people will listen to me and will say, well, I was not like that. I was totally the opposite. I was not promiscuous. I keep myself to me and I did it alone. I never need help. And and they will say, well, this wasn't, but everybody reacts different. It's like, if I was telling an audience the other day, if you are raped, you will have two different reactions. A person who will go to the extreme side, who will never have sex again, who will even change her sex. They will change this, they will say, I don't want anything. They will change their sexuality preference because I don't want nothing to do with men. And they will have the next one who will start repeating the behavior as a form of punishment because they feel guilty for being raped. And they say, some part of me deserve that. So I will do it over and over and over and over and over to myself. And then they will not know how to say no.
Right.
And so we have in behaviors, we have those two type of behaviors. So you could go, or you could stay neutral, but still be hurt.
Mhm.
So
So let's summarize. And I know I gotta bring you back because there's so many things that we didn't touch on. But just summarize where you are now and how you're moving forward and helping the young women. What are your plans? What would you like to do? And then I want you to touch on your business, your being an entrepreneur and the business that you have now as far as your welding services and stuff. So let's talk about, just summarize where you are with the young women and what are some of the things that you're hoping to do in the near future.
where I am now is in a place where I am teaching privately, because as you see, the work that I do with young ladies, I can't broadcast
Mm-hmm.
names or places because of I am a therapist in the making, and about so we. I could only talk about the experiences and saying that I am there teaching them about the emotions and how to process them, how to set goals,
Mm-hmm.
because that is one of the traumatic responses, that we don't know how to take charge of our life. So teaching them to set goals and teaching them that, okay, you recognize this, where what next. And I think that for me, even in my personal life, being through so much things, I am still there. Like, I could see myself in another level, that I am not at the level of my clients, but I am on the level, on a higher level, where I still need to bring myself together and be like, hey, come back. We need to stay on track.
Yeah.
So I and then, well, I have my business, my welding business, and we provide services in Trinidad and Tobago of we do all type of fabrications, welding, construction from foundation to finish, and that is a business that I created with my husband. And then I have Gain Foundation, is where I give information to migrants, and also I connect people to help. Even though here in Trinidad and Tobago now, because of the influx of Venezuelans coming, the help is very limited. And well, I moved to Mexico also, and in that community, Gain Foundation is teaching women about parenting and about self love, which is a topic that is very well needed in Mexico. And then, well, Heal Me Healing You, which is also a business where I offer services that you could talk if you want advice. I have helped people save their marriage by just telling them. You don't know the amount of ideas that you could tell yourself that are wrong, and by one question like, who told you that, you bring
Mm-hmm.
back the person off the ledge. So
Mm-hmm.
that talk it out is like, you make, I help people, think through decisions and so on, and it's like a type of coaching, a wellness coaching, a mental wellness coaching. So that is what I do in a nutshell.
Okay, that's a whole lot. So each one of them deserve a different segment. But tell us the name of your welding company, your construction company, and if people want to get in contact with your business, how can they reach Yamine Trotman?
The name of my welding company is Gadiel Welding and General Constructions. You can find us in Facebook and in Instagram.
Can you spell the
And
name, please?
Gadiel is Gadiel. Es, the Lord is my partner. That is what it means.
Okay.
Welding and General Construction, and you can get on. Well, we have the same name on Facebook and Instagram, and you can also contact me at 743-3478. Obviously, the Trinidad code is 1868, and the number again is 743-3478.
Okay, thank you. Thank you so much. So that's Gadiel and Welding and Construction, right? Now,
Yes.
what does gain means? Because you see gain, but you didn't tell people what gain means.
So again, the it names greater access to independent network,
So
and
that's setting the women free.
yeah, it's like, as I say, what is my ministry is about giving people independence, because when we are in outside here, we are traumatized, we are dependent of other people, because we always say, he made me do that, he made me do that, I do that because of my mother, I do that. But when you gain independence, you know that you are the owner of your decisions, and that you know that if the decisions that you make today build your tomorrow, that gives you independence. So we are giving you that access.
Yes, 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 yes. So Gain Foundation. She is the CEO and founder of Gain Foundation, which is a nonprofit or NGO in Trinidad and Tobago. So Yamin, I want to tell you thank you for coming out and sitting with us and with this conversation in the garden. I want to invite you back so we can speak on what role does the culture of Trinidad and Tobago or even Venezuela play in the way the women are seen and treated in Trinidad. Because there's two styles. There's a big difference the way that the men and the way the women are treated, and we're going to talk about that because that's been handed down from before slavery or even during slavery, had
Yes.
a great effect on how it's seen. So Thank you for coming out. Thank you for joining us in the garden. I know in my garden I talked about flowers, but one of the things that you like to talk about too, as it relates to garden, is about trees. So in the garden, there's so many. There are trees, there are weeds, there are flowers. Um, in order to build a vibrant and big garden, we need the sun, we need the soil, we need the water, we need people who, the gardener that takes care of that stuff. So I do appreciate you for coming out, and I look forward to speaking with you soon.
Okay, thank you so much. Thank you for having me. And you are such an inspiration to me and to others. And I thank God for you every day.
Thank you. One of my BFFs, y'all.